This is how I went from skinny to looking jacked. So to kick things off, this was me before. This was around the year 2000 and I want to say 15ish, somewhere around that time frame. But as you can see, I was a pretty skinny kid. Even right here to the right, the picture to the right here, my Five Guys uniform. I was about a year and a half into training by this point, and as you can see, I meal prepped my food right there: my chicken, my vegetables, and my rice. Gotta love it. Chicken, broccoli, and rice, or chicken, some sort of veggie, and rice in this specific case. But as you can see, as I mentioned already, I was a pretty skinny kid, pretty insecure just in the way that I looked and the way that I felt. I really lacked the confidence, which was one of the reasons why I started even lifting in the first place. But I'll getting into it a little bit more here. Just to give you some more knowledge and insights on how I broke the skinny cycle before we kind of get into a little bit more about my own background, kind of my own mentality when it came to before I started lifting. It wasn't because of my metabolism. That is a big thing a lot of skinny guys say. I can gain weight because of my fast metabolism. But I hate to break it to you, it's not because of your fast metabolism. And the answer is much more quite simple than a lot of you guys make it out to seem. The simple answer is you just need to eat more. And there's so many different factors that come into play when it comes to this, right? You may say that you're eating so much or it feels like you're eating so much, but do you have the tangible data to back it up? Are you tracking your weight meticulously? Are you tracking your macros, your calories meticulously? Are you tracking every piece of data point that you need to really say, hey, I've been doing this, here's the numbers, and this proves that I have been eating as much as I feel and as much as I'm saying I have been eating. And I'm still not gaining any weight. But 9 times out of 10, you're not that kind of person, right? Because a lot of people who start their gym journey, especially those guys who are skinnier, they just eat everything in sight and think they're eating, I don't know, like 6, 7, 8,000 calories worth of food when it's really just 2,000 calories, way below their maintenance. So I know it's a lot easier said than done when it comes to just eating more food, but I want to share some tips with you guys inside this video, apart from just eating, to help you go from looking how I did back then, like this. this is this is when I used to run track and field. As you can see, I have my uniform on. So looking from a skinny, feeble teenage boy to looking like how I do presently right now. Looking definitely way a lot better. I know my physique is nothing amazing or spectacular, but it's definitely levels up compared to how I used to look like before. And just one more picture for you guys here to look at as well. So that's how I look like presently. Moving forward though, tip number one that I have for you guys is mindset. Mindset is the most important factor when it comes to doing anything that involves improving yourself, getting better at something, starting a business, growing a social media platform, whatever it is. And so just some sub tips within this bigger tip of mindset that I have for you guys is number one, I recommend minimizing your social media use. Just because back then, I remember I would always used to compare myself with David Lade, Dylan McKenna, I think his name was. All those big aesthetic guys who used to rule YouTube back in the day and social media back in the day. I know things are different now. We have Alex Eubank. We have so many different guys now who look amazing and whatnot. But plain and simple, you need to stop comparing yourselves to these guys, right? It just like you shouldn't compare yourself to someone else's physique because you guys are made up of totally different genetics, body compositions, etc., etc. So it's not fair for you to compare yourself to them. There's a big saying, right? Like we all walk our own journeys in life, and that is so true because if we start to compare our own journey, our own path in life to someone else's, then that takes away from the uniqueness of our own path, the one that we walk within our own life. So please do yourself a big favor, especially for your mental health. Minimize your social media use. I don't know if if you're able to delete those apps or even delete your account in general as well, because it's one thing to delete the actual app, but it's another thing to delete your actual account. Whatever helps you get off of social media more, do it. Just do it, so that way you can really help your mental, and so this way you can really focus on your own path, your own journey, and you have those blinders on, so that way you can actually focus on yourself. Secondly, is really get your mental straight. I know a lot of us start the gym journey. I know I started my gym journey, like I mentioned before, because I was pretty insecure. I lacked a lot of confidence. Hell, I wouldn't even be able to speak for, I don't even know how long this video has been going on for, 5 minutes, give or take. But I wouldn't have been able to do this if I didn't start my gym journey. So whatever it is that you're going through, I just recommend doing your gym journey right off the bat. Because a lot of people, they think that, oh, I'm not in the right headspace just yet to start my gym journey, whatever it is. But no one is ever going to be ready to do X, Y, and Z thing. So the best thing you can do for yourself is just start it. Just do it already, even though you feel like you're unready. So, whatever your mental health problems are, whatever it is, if it's something that you need to seek professional help for, please do it. Focus on that first if you have to, if you need to. But I guarantee you, that your mental will start feeling at least a little bit better once you start doing some exercising, right? Once you start lifting those weights, because honestly, when you get moving, your mental does start to feel a little bit better. And plus, when you're in the process of changing for the better, improving yourself for the better, and you get to see and get a taste of the initial results, that's going to be super addicting, and it's going to hook you on and make you realize, hey, I can actually do this. And if you have that proof of concept that you can do something, imagine you taking that proof of concept and applying it to different areas of your life. It's amazing how this shit works. It's crazy. So, as I mentioned already, like for me, my main internal or mental issue was that I lacked the confidence back then, which is a big reason why I started. I didn't like how I looked. I was also really tired of my family members telling me I looked really skinny. And so these different things create a catalyst for me to begin my gym journey, which looking back on it now, I'm definitely grateful all these things were said and done, because if it wasn't, then I probably wouldn't have the physique or the mindset or the resilience that I do today. The last point here is lean into doing the hard things, because going to the gym, getting in shape, even if you're going from skinny to fit, or if you're going from obese to fit, whatever it is, like, it's hard. It's very uncomfortable. You're gonna be motivated initially to start doing the thing, but it comes to a certain point where your motivation starts to run out, and then that's when you have to resort to discipline. And so when it comes to leaning into doing the hard things, you have to realize that doing the hard things is good for you. Because if it were easy to get in shape, if it were easy to start that business, if it were easy to do X, Y, and Z thing, whatever it is, right? For example's sake, we'll just stick with, going from skinny to jacked. If it were easy to do that, then everyone would do it, and everyone would get amazing results from it. But fact of the matter is that not everyone looks jacked who goes from skinny, or excuse me, from people who, not everyone is jacked, brain fart. But what I'm trying to say is not everyone who is skinny goes from being skinny to jacked, because of the simple fact that going to the gym and getting in shape is hard. And so you want to have that reality set in mind for you initially right off the bat when it comes to this, because this is not an easy 1 to 2 month gym journey. And it's nothing like that. It's something that takes time, patience, and consistency. So definitely lean into doing the hard things. It's going to grow you. It's going to mold you into the person that you will become out in the future. Moving on though, second tip is to eat more. I know I covered this in the first few slides here, but just to kind of dive deeper into this point right here and the sub points that I have right here down below. After your mental is in order, after your mindset is all good to go and you're ready to, crush it in the gym, or if you're already inside the gym and you're starting to crush it, then you definitely need to get the nutrition, the eating part down as well. So when I say eating more, I don't mean inhaling everything that you see in sight, because a lot of people who do that, they have the dirty bulking mentality. And essentially what dirty bulking is that you're eating everything and anything in sight just for the main purpose of gaining weight. So it's not really putting gaining muscle first. It's just gaining weight. It's just putting gaining weight first. And so with that, you have a lot of excess fat gains that you really don't want at all. And so through bulking in a slight surplus, so a lean bulk in this case, so a slight surplus of 300 to 500 calories above your maintenance calories. By doing that, we minimize fat gains so that way we can still gain as much muscle as we possibly can while making sure we don't gain all that excess fat that we don't really need within ourselves, right? And that excess fat makes us feel fatigued. It makes us feel foggy headed. It just makes us feel super bad, right? It just makes us feel super, super bad and makes us feel unproductive. And it's just something that you don't want to go through yourself. So apart from this, apart from the eating, you also want to make sure you track your weight and you're eating daily. So track your weight, your calories, your macros, all those things daily. So that way you have actual tangible data. Because 9 times out of 10, like what I already mentioned, a lot of you guys are probably not tracking your weight and your eating meticulously. So you definitely want to do that. So this way you have that data. So this way, if you do end up plateauing, as you can see in the next point here, then you essentially know that you have to increase your calories again and you have to increase your eating. So this way you can break out of that plateau, start gaining a little bit more weight, and then once you plateau again through tracking the necessary data you need to track, you can repeat that same process. So this way you actually start to gain weight, gain muscle in a very linear path instead of just kind of staying in this flat narrow road all the way through, right? That's why you're not gaining weight. That's why you're not gaining muscle. That's why you're not making progress at all whatsoever. So it's very, very important for you to track your progress. So definitely make sure to be to do that. Point number 3, or tip number 3, is training. Don't train like a loser. Don't train like you're filled with ego and all you want to do is just lift as much heavy weight as you can with no regards to your form and no regards to essentially, making every rep intentional and making every rep count. What I have done, or the way that I've been training recently, these past 3 years, is training hard and training till failure. And oh my goodness, let me tell you, if I would have started training in this way from the very beginning of my gym journey, I would have made so many more gains to this day if I would have trained in that way. But I didn't, and so that cost me on so many countless years of potential gains. And so what you want to do when it comes to training till failure is, yes, you want to make sure the intensity is there and then you're working hard, but you want to make sure you're not swinging the weight like a fool, right? Like an idiot. Like, no, you want to make sure you control the movement all the way through. You want to focus on the eccentric part of the movement. So in case you don't know what the eccentric part of the movement is, it's the way down of the exercise. So for a bicep curl, it'd be the way down of it. For a squat, it'd be when you're squatting down. For a bench press, it'd be when you're benching, or excuse me, when the bench starts to go down. So those are all the eccentric parts of an exercise movement. So you want to hold, or you want to focus, on that eccentric for 3 to 4 seconds. So just have like a 3 to 4 second count in your head. And you also want to make sure once you're at the bottom, so the stretch portion of the movement, just have a slight 1 to 2 second pause and then explode on the way up. And boom, right there is a great quality rep for a certain exercise. As far as rest time goes, just rest for 3 to 5 minutes. When we do train very hard until failure, we want to make sure that we're maximizing our rest time. So I'd find that 3 to 5 minutes is a sweet time where you're not going to kill yourself, essentially, right? Because when I say that, if you were to train till failure on your first set and you were to take the typical 60 to 90 second rest time, you cannot physically carry the same intensity you did on set 1 onto set 2 if you have that kind of rest time. You're going to be gassed within the first 3 reps. It's not going to lead to quality reps. You're going to feel drained mentally as well. You're going to just exhaust yourself and feel like you just want to quit your gym journey because you're not doing anything right. So don't do that to yourself. Make sure you're getting adequate rest, and that essentially you're making each movement of the exercise count. So that's training. As far as tip number 4 goes, you want to be measuring your progress. And I know I covered tracking your weight and your eating a little bit there ago. Just to further hone in onto that point, use MyFitnessPal as a great calorie and macro calculator or tracker, excuse me. You can find it in the App Store. I think it's what's it called, the Google Play Store for Android users. But download that app and start tracking all your food, everything that you're eating, all that kind of good stuff, so that way you know what you're doing. So that's a nice little hack for you guys. You also want to be tracking your workouts, so this way you can see if you're getting stronger. And not only that, but you want to make sure to see if you're progressively overloading effectively. So progressive overload, what it basically means is that, for example, let's say I'm doing 135 on bench, right, for 6 to 8 reps. I do the 6 to 8 reps with clean form. I train very hard, and there's no ego lifting and nothing like that. So next week, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the same bench, but for 140 pounds instead of 135. So that's what progressive overload is. You're essentially adding more weight, since you're able to do last week's weight, not with ease, but you're able to complete the rep and set scheme for the given weight with really great technique, no ego lifting, and it's clean, very calculated form. So that's also important, why you want to track your weights, your workouts, all that kind of good stuff, so that way you see, kind of where you're at, if you're progressively overloading effectively, like I mentioned before. And so this way you get yourself organized, and that you make sure, much like what I said, you're going in a linear path when it comes to your weight gain, your muscle growth. Last point is you want to make sure you take lots of progress pictures. I wish I would have taken some more. I have a few more on my phone, but nothing like where I would take one per day. When you are in these bulking phases and cutting phases, since I'm just talking about the bulking phase here, I'll stick to the bulking phase. Just take a picture of yourself every day. You shirtless, just you shirtless, your legs if you want to as well. But take a picture once a day. Track your journey, track your progress. Because it's one thing to look at your progress from the weight, from the scale, and seeing, how big you're getting. But it's a whole different thing when you can actually visually see from pictures your progress. And that, let me tell you, seeing that visual difference of you from you going skinny to fit is a fantastic feeling. It feels amazing. It gets to be addicting, like I mentioned before. And it's essentially something you can just look back on and realize, wow, I put in a lot of hard work and it was all worth it at the end of the day. And you have your receipts, just your receipts to prove that you put in the work and you went from looking like this to looking like that. So take lots of pictures. And then just the last tip number 5, ask for help. So if you're feeling like you're stuck somewhere, ask someone who is knowledgeable on the specific area. If you want to ask me, I'm more than happy to help you out. Just comment down below your questions. If you go to a gym where there's personal trainers, which obviously there's going to be personal trainers, ask them a question or two. There is absolutely no shame in asking for help. If anything, that makes you a very strong person for being able to do so. Because when you ask for help, that means you're uncomfortable. And when you're uncomfortable, you start to grow. And when you ask for help too, you get to learn a lot of great, amazing things that you wouldn't have known if you didn't ask for help in that moment. So ask for help. There's no shame about it. And just really lean into other people's support and guidance to help you find your path along inside this gym journey. So that way, if you are, steering off the wrong direction when it comes to something specifically, whether it be in training, rest and recovery, or eating, then you at least have someone or that tip or advice, that YouTube video, whatever it is, that helps to steer you back in the correct direction. But that covers it for this video for today, guys. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe. If you are interested in one-to-one coaching, check out the link, my Calendly link in the description down below. And until then, I'll see you guys in the next video. Much love to you all, and train hard, eat a lot, and don't give up on yourselves. Peace.